One is you were talking about the percentages that of outside trash that's already coming in, which is 44%. Do you happen to have a rough estimate how that will be affected by bringing in more trash by rail?
Yes. So in 2008, which was the statistics I was citing with the 56% coming from the Yuba area, there was roughly 250,000 tons of waste that came into the landfill that year. And so it's my understanding that the initial amount of waste that would be coming in by rail from the proposal that Recology has with the City of San Francisco would be a little over 400,000 tons of waste that would come in. That would still keep them below their permitted amount of, they'd still be below their 1,900 tons per day. But it would definitely alter the percentages to answer the question.
Okay. My second question is, I don't know what the projected lifespan of the dump was when it was installed, because I wasn't here for that. But how would bringing in trash by rail affect the expected lifespan?
That's one of the issues that the county staff is very concerned about as well. We consider this landfill, as much as I understand a lot of people in the room see it as an eyesore, but it also is a resource for the Yuba areas. At least we have a place to and so
that's how I see it.
Right, and so the idea of resource protection, when you start by rail, and it decreases the longevity of the site, and so that issue needs to be addressed through the environmental process for this amendment request.
Is there any rough estimate on its effect? Just we know it will decrease.
Yeah, we know it will decrease, and through the studies we'll find out by how many years.
My third question is, and kind of on the same vein, is replacement costs. I know one of the advantages to bringing in outside trash is outside revenue to the county. But I'm wondering, I want to make sure we're getting a replacement cost that will obviously, I mean, once we run out of space, we have to put it somewhere else. And then, so my question is replacement costs being taken heavily into account?
Yes, and actually, I'll let Robert kind of answer this. As far as this is really Yuba and Sutter counties first. I mean, it's our. I understand that the facility is owned and operated by an outside vendor, but really the reason why it was entitled in the first place is to provide a service to Yuba and Sutter counties. So we want to protect that resource, as I mentioned previously, and I'll let Robert maybe speak to it a little bit more in detail.
Sure. It's a little early on right now to discuss the revenues, and that's something that I think all of you have seen in the newspaper about the potential revenue. We don't know where the newspaper got that. We certainly didn't comment about the future revenues that it could bring, but I think they took what the rate is now, which is $4.40 a ton, that is paid as far in what they call either a host fee or a tipping fee. And that agreement is contained within the franchise agreement that Yuba County has with YSDI from the collection side of the house. But there, obviously, in some of the initial filing of the application, it hasn't really progressed other than filing an incomplete application so far. But that's certainly a consideration. If again, there's so many what ifs. If the board or the planning commission decides it's favorable, if the board decides it's favorable, if they don't decide it's favorable, if we attach a per tonnage fee on that garbage coming from outside the area. But that's certainly a consideration. You bring up a very good point.
I realize that you probably didn't have the answers because like you said, it's at the application stage and they haven't even filled a proper application yet. So, but I just want to make sure those questions are being answered. Thank you.
My name is Rick Paskowitz. 4 comments and a couple of questions. Comments, the project manager for NorCal Waste in 1988 said that the dump at Ostrom Road would be only for local use only. Then in 1996, the project manager said the dump would serve 2 counties only, Yuba and Sutter. In the year 2000, it was by the project manager said that it would only serve the local region and maybe Sacramento. In 2009, the company is applying for its original intent to ship garbage from San Francisco by rail to come up here. My question is, how many lives from this major company, NorCal Waste, who has changed their name to a more acceptable term, Recology, with the same CEO, Michael Sangiacomo, how many times are we going to believe this company, and where will it go? It's probably okay for us to, I think it's okay for us to produce our own garbage and to come up to a 265 foot height, but is it okay for us to accept as our new landmark a piece of San Francisco of 265 feet high, as is partially demonstrated by a set of balloons that are outside that will give us all a crick in the neck? So can we trust this company? That's my question.
Good question. Right. Obviously, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the company. I'm not sure, Robert, you know.
Yeah, let me address that. As far as trusting the company, we, as staff, when we receive an application, whether it's for somebody comes to our counter for a building permit, or they're applying for residential development, or they're applying for a permit modification, our charge as staff is we need to process what they submit to us. And I understand that. And so if you dot the I's and cross the T's, if the company dots the I's and cross the T's, the EIR is an informational document only, and if they follow that process, they get the project approved. I can't speak for the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors. It's up to them whether they approve the project, but in these initial stages and up through the processing time, staff's charge by ordinance is we need to process the application that's filed. There are many times, I will tell you, and I won't speak specific to this one, but there are many times that projects or applications get filed that maybe somebody personally might not be in agreement with. But we still have to process that application.
Okay, does this application pass the smell test?
It's, as Kevin indicated, it's still deemed incomplete.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You know, I haven't been doing this very long now. I was at a conference recently and was speaking with someone who's, she was a staff person for the regional counties, rural caucus of regional counties. And what she dealt with were regulations. And what I asked her was, you know, someone comes in, files this application, does all the stuff, the ER comes in and they can mitigate, you know, all these adverse effects, so forth. Am I, as a supervisor, when it comes before me, even just because they're able to mitigate all of that stuff, everything's clean, does that mean I still have to approve that?
Right.
And her response to me was, absolutely not. You have a choice to say, you just don't like that, you don't want to do that, and you say no. And so, I don't want you going away thinking that, okay, we do the EIR, it comes back, everything's great for whatever, you know. Does not automatically mean that either the Planning Commission will just simply pass it because it comes back clean. And certainly, from my perspective, as an individual member of the board, it doesn't mean that I'm just going to say, okay, fine, since you have a good EIR, I'm going to vote yes. I have the option, I have the ability to say, regardless of what the EIR says in terms of what you can mitigate and can't, so forth, that I can still say no. I just don't want that to happen.
Great, and I'm a believer in the new board, that you're out for the welfare of this county and for the community, and you will come up to that. But I'm concerned about that what happened 9 years ago when you do an EIR and some things you say, hey, you mitigated it, or other things you say, hey, it's unmitigatable, and yet it still goes through, and then it becomes a done project.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about. So yes, okay, it's up to the board, and hopefully you use some good sense in deciding what is best for this county.